Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. We still got 1 more minute before everyone joins as we go through. So thank you very much for joining us. Our session today is going to be about Intersight connectivity and telemetry for your data center. We are going to use Slido for Q&A. So the link is in the chat. You can also use your mobile phone with the information on the screen in order to join. And we do have a poll that is live in there, just so that we make sure everyone is joining and um, have access to it and so on. So please, if you can, join there us on Slido. I am Diego Oliveira, and I will be your host and presenter for the day. And alongside myself, I have my colleague Saif. Saif is a customer success specialist. He specializes in data center solutions, with his primary focus being ACI and Intersight. And I am also a CSS, and I've been working within Cisco within the partner environment for over 10 years. And currently focus on data center technologies as well. So our session today is going to be following this template. First of all, we are going to see the benefits and interesting information about Intersight and how can we leverage that, what are the requirements for integration, and so on and so forth. Then we are going to move on into a more hands-on approach where you guys can follow along. We are going to perform a demonstration for you guys. We do request that you guys avoid doing changes to your production environment if you want to follow along. This is just for you to be aware what exactly it is, where you can claim your connectivity to Intersight, and so on and so forth. And last, we are going to have a section dedicated to Q&A, where you can use Slido to ask any questions that you might want. Okay? So let's kick it off then with understanding and having an overview of Intersight. What are the benefits of using Intersight connectivity for your data center networking devices? And what are the requirements for that integration? Yes. So Intersight is a cloud-based infrastructure management platform that is used to simplify the administration of Cisco servers, storage, and network devices. Yes. It is designed to provide the IT administration with a unified view and control over their Cisco and some third-party hardware. Intersight leverages the power of cloud computing, machine learning, and analytics in order to deliver intelligent automation and management capabilities to the teams, right? We have multiple data centers hosting Intersight. So there are two in the US and one in Europe. And during the setup of the account, you can choose which data center you want to store your data on. Yes. So in regards to the data center networking devices, Intersight can provide us with, and we are going to see in more detail some of those benefits, um, faster time to resolution via accelerated support cases, customized field notices and security advices, and so on. All of the good stuff. What devices can be claimed, and how does that Intersight thingy work for data center networking devices? Yes. First of all, contrary to common belief, Intersight is free for claiming your network devices and for leveraging all of the benefits that we are going to cover in our session today. Yes. While Intersight does consume licenses to manage UCS and some other solutions, To claim your devices, you don't need any of that. Yes. So you can just create an Intersight account. The only requirement is that you need to have a valid Cisco ID attached to the email that you're going to use. For example, if you already have a cisco.com account with your company email, then you can just go to Intersight and create a new account using that same email address. Yes. While we have different usages for Intersight, we are going to cover here is just the claiming and leveraging the telemetry from it. Okay. And here we can see all of the devices that we can claim. We can claim everything Nexus dashboard, so NDI, NDFC, and so on, UCS, ACI, HyperFlex, and now the standalone and XOS and MDS devices as well. So what are the benefits of Intersight? Yes, of Intersight connectivity and the telemetry that we can enable with it. Yes. So they are slightly different depending on which product are you claiming, and thus we are going to quickly brush upon those different products. Yes. So for example, for ACI, we have three main benefits. Yes. One is the automated tech support, show tech collection via rapid problem resolution. This is used to speed up the relationship or the process when we need tech support. We can also pre-upload that to Intersight via Tech Assist. There is also, and we are going to see this one in a little bit more detail, proactive ACI service request creation for tech. So there are a bunch of issues that are known to lead to major failures. And in order to become more proactive with those, when you have inter-site connectivity, your ACI solution can automatically create a service request with tech in order to notify about these issues and thus get you faster resolution for those. Yes. Next up, we have ND and NDI. So in here we have different ones, and I will quickly cover some of those, which is enhanced visibility, right? So naturally, Nexus Dashboard Insights will provide you with visibility of your network health, performance, anomalies, and so on and so forth. The benefit of having connected to Intersight is that you will receive automatically updated signatures for those anomalies. Thus, you have a more efficient operational teams in there because you reduce a lot of your manual tasks, will simplify your day-to-day operations. It will also benefit from the automatic creation of requests in some situations. So it will simplify the interactions that you have with Cisco support teams as well. We will also benefit from like bug reports and so on and so forth that will be customized to your own infrastructure, as your NDI will be able to automatically download the metadata file from Cisco, and it will also improve as you identify security vulnerabilities or anomalies within your network. This all leads to a stronger security posture in general. Benefits of using Intersight with an XOS standalone or an XOS switches, right? So currently we have two main features, which is related to support, right? So collection of show tech and the on-demand generation for tech of those show tech. In the future, and this is being developed as we speak, we will also have the automatically opening of tech service request cases based on hardware failure, right? So here, let's have a overview of what would it look like for a traditional engagement for a issue that we have within our DCN solution, right? The most common approach is an end user detects an issue, it then notifies the network operations team to check on that issue. There is some verification to be done here up until the network operations team decide they need Cisco assistance. They raise a tech case. The tech picks up that case, will come back to the network operations team requesting more information, sometimes in a call, sometimes not, more logs, more details about the issue. There is also that back and forth in between, right? So the network operations goes back, collect all of that, uploads to the case, tech will analyze it. If necessary, goes further or more in-depth information, will come back to the operations team and so on and so forth, up until the tech team provides with a solution and the problem is solved. Yes. So there's a lot of back and forth in between the two, the network operations team on the company and the tech support team, right? When we have our network devices claimed in Intersight, there are some situations, there are some use cases in which the device itself will detect the issue and create automatically a service request for the tech support team. Yes. So there's no need for end user, there's no need for even the internal operations team. The device itself will identify the issue and notify and create a service request through Intersight. Thus, that team can receive that service request and with that service request start the process already by contacting the network operations team. And if the customer allows, and we are going to see this more in depth in the demo, only with the allowance or the permission from the customer, the tech team can also collect more in-depth logs in order to troubleshoot and come back with a final resolution. Yes. So this is massive reduction on the time to resolution, so mean time to resolution, MTTR, and it simplifies a lot this interaction. Yes. So those proactive engagements, the main purpose of this program is to highlight those faults which are known to cascade into bigger issues. Yes. So currently there are a set of situations that are already valid, right? So for those situations, ACI will automatically create those service requests. That is being also developed for NXOS devices, and they are expanding those use cases as more and more customers face the same issues. And in order to make those more proactive, Cisco will continue on expanding those use cases. So now let's move into understanding a little bit more about what are the requirements, what do I need in order to claim my devices on Intersight. So again, those requirements are slightly different depending on which product are we trying to claim, but I can oversimplify and say that what we need mainly is to be on the proper version, to have internet connectivity or the ability to reach svc.intersight.com via DNS. Yes. So for example, for ACI, what we need is this interconnectivity was supported minimum on version 4.3J. Yes. And there are recommendations of versions within each train of versions. So 4.2, if you are on the 4.2 train, 5.2.5c, and or anything 6x. If you are in a version that is different than this, you can work with tech support to make sure that everything is supported and you can leverage those benefits. Okay. And the main requirements are for you to be able to reach via DNS to svc.intersight.com. The reason why DNS is mandatory in here, it is because we have a lot of different IPs behind svc.intersight.com, and those are going to be load balanced in order to, depending on which region, which country, and so on and so forth. And in order to avoid having a gigantic list of IP addresses for you to allow, we request you to have connectivity via DNS. If you are behind or you need a proxy on your ACI, you can configure those, yes. And once you have the ability to read and so on and so forth, you can claim your APIC in there. For NDI, the minimum recommended version is 2.1.2 and similar, right? So DNS to svc.intersight and HTTPS to svc.intersight.com. Again, if you need proxy, you can configure that. And in the case of Nexus Dashboard, there's one extra step, which is in order to claim your Nexus Dashboard, you must have at least one site added to it. For your NXOS devices, you need version 10.2, 3F minimum. Again, HTTPS and DNS in order to be able to reach svc.intersight.com. Here, if you need proxy, you will also be able to configure directly on the device, the DNS as well. And there is the recommendation, and we will see this on the demonstration. It is for your NXOS devices to have this connectivity being deployed on a separate VRF on each one of those devices, just so that you have one extra layer of security when your devices are communicating with Intersight. So we are now going on to a quick overview of what it is that we need in order to enable those device connectors on different platforms. Yes. So for example, for the APIC, there is the device connector on the Cisco website, or if your APIC already have internet connectivity, you can download from the app tab within your APIC itself. Then you validate the setup in there, configure everything, and you'll be able to go to the Cisco Intersight, log in with your account, or create your account. Once you create, you will be able to select which country you want or where you want your data to be stored. Thus, for companies here in Europe, we will be able to select Europe and become GDPR compliant, yes? And we'll be able to finally claim your ACI within there. NDI is very similar, so you enable NDI on your Nexus dashboard, and then you'll be able to validate the configuration of everything for your NDI and initiate the process of claiming your Nexus dashboard within Intersight. Everything that I'm mentioning here, we are going to cover on our demonstration. So this is just a quick overview of the general process. Yes. For claiming that on your standalone NXOS. So similar thing, we now have to make sure that we have the feature of Intersight enabled on that switch. The recommendation here is to have it on a separate VRF, as I mentioned. Make sure you have a DNS, if you needed a proxy or not, and be able to check the connectivity to that IP address or to the internet, right? To the intersight.com. And then you'll be able to go to Intersight and claim your device in there. So now we will move on to the section in which my colleague Saif will help us out and show how everything that I mentioned is done and so on and so forth. If you have those solutions and you want to follow along, you're free to do so. We just remind you that try to avoid performing any changes in your production environment. About to you, Saif.
Thank you so much, Diego. So now let's start with the demo for today. I will be covering the topics that we discussed until now in this session. So the first thing is that we are using the I'm sorry. I'm using the SAS Intersight solution for the claiming process. So as you can see here, I went to https://intersight.com, and from there we will have the option to sign in with our Cisco ID, or if you don't have an Intersight account, you can actually create the account directly from here. So let me go through the account creation process quickly. So as my colleague stated, Diego said in the presentation, the only requirement for you to create the Intersight account is to have a valid Cisco ID. And once you open or start the creation process, you will be asked to open the or log in through using your Cisco ID. So once you log in with your Cisco ID, we will start the account creation process. And you will see the first thing that you will get asked for is the region. So this will depend on the where your data center or most of your products are located. And depending on that, you can choose the region that is closer to you so that you will get the fastest and better response time. You will see that you have the two options, US East or EU Central. In our case, our labs are in Europe, so we will use the EU Central and go with next. Then you will be asked or you will be provided with the general terms. The only ask here is to make sure to read them and accept them before moving forward. Then you will get the to the point where you can actually now create your account, provide the account name. I already have multiple accounts created. Please note that you can actually create multiple accounts on the same Cisco ID so that if you want to split your environments into multiple sub-accounts, you can do that. So let me now just sign in using my Cisco ID. And as you can see, I have directly shown the select accounts page where you can see the different accounts I have with the different privileges assigned to my Cisco ID email. So for us, we will go with this specific lab. And once we open it, it immediately points us to the system navigation panel. So on the top, if you were actually opening on a different panel, you can just select it and scroll until the end till you get to the system. This is where you can view all of your settings on Intersight as well as the targets tab. And this is where we can start the claiming process. Now, as you can see, when I open the targets tab, I can see now the list of all the devices and platforms that I have claimed through Intersight. And for me to start the claiming process, we can press on claim new target. And here we can specify what is the product that we want to claim. Now, the product that we are starting to claim is the APIC, but before we start doing the claiming process on the APIC, we need to make sure to have the Network Insight Cloud Connector application installed. And for that, since the download and upload process takes some time, I have already done that in the lab before, and I have a pre-recording for it. So let us go through the pre-recording. So as you can see, I went to the APIC as we just did. And from here, we go to the Apps tab. This is where you can view all of your application that you have downloaded. Now, for us to actually download the application, there's two methods to do it, or there's two ways to open this website, either to go directly to dcappcenter.cisco.com, or there's another option from the application tab on the Intersight, where you can, on the ACI, sorry, where you can press and select the link that you want to use, or to select the download section where it will pop up this site for you. Now, as you can see, for the applications, you will have a lot of applications to all of the platforms regarding the data center technology. So you can actually filter out by the name of the application, or you can actually filter it out through the solution itself. In this specific scenario, we filtered it out through the solution itself. And now you can see on the right one here, which is the Nexus Insight Cloud Connector. So you can press the download and start the downloading process. Now, once the download is finished, you will get, or you will find an image installed to your downloads folder with the name of NI base. So this is the name for the Network Insight Cloud Connector image. Now that we have that image downloaded, the next step for us is to upload it towards the ACI. For that, we can use the second button here. So the first one is the one that I mentioned earlier, where we can, once we click it, it will open the DC App Center for us. And from here, we can add the application. Please note that for the big images, the APIC user interface will take some time to become responsive after enabling them. So the next step is that we browsed and uploaded our image to the ACI, then we click on submit. Now the process of enabling this application will take some time, so it will start by validating, then once the validation is done, it will start installing, sorry, and once the installation is done, it will enable the application. Once the whole procedure is done, you should get a Nexus Insight Cloud Connector application that will be now ready to be used for our telemetry process. So now that we are back on live demo, let's go back to our ACI. Under the apps, we can actually view our Nexus Insight Cloud Connector. So let's open it and see the different tabs that we have there. So as you can see, the first tab is the devices, and this is where it will show us all of the or list of the devices that we have inside ACI that can be now connected to the Intersight and benefit from the telemetry benefits that we mentioned in the session. So we can see here we have our Leaves, ACI, and the APIC itself. The second one is the TAC Assist. For this one specifically, we will be actually speaking about in a later part of the demonstration, where we will cover the benefits from having the Intersight telemetry enabled. Now let me go back to the applications, just to show you that the first tab, the download application, this is where it will actually open for you the DC App Center automatically, so that if you don't want to just search for the website, you can use the ACI to open the DC App Center. Okay, so now let's go to the back to the Intersight to start our claiming process. So you can see here that we have a big list of devices that we can actually claim through Intersight. So we will benefit from a way to filter it out. There is two ways. Either you search for the product that you want to use, or you can, on the left side, specify or filter through the category of the devices that you want to claim. So for us, it's a network device. So we just press on network, and here we can see the Cisco APIC is mentioned. This is where we can specify that we are actually claiming an ACI cluster. Now, the requirement for us to have the claiming done is for us to have the device ID and the claim code. So let's go back to the ACI to get those two details. So for us to view these details, we go back to Systems, and from Systems, we go to System Settings. And here we will find the option for the Nexus Cloud and Intersight connectivity. Now, this option will be enabled even if you don't have the Network Insight Cloud connector enabled or installed. You will still have or see this option, but once you open it, it will show you that it's not enabled and it will not be working because you don't have the Nexus Insight Cloud connector installed. Once you install it, you will have this page shown as this, with the only difference is that for the first time or the initial configuration, the device connector will not be connected to the internet. So going more on this, the Intersight connectivity goes into through two steps. So the first one is that we need our device to have internet connectivity, or in a simpler way, we need to have connectivity towards the svc.intersight.com. For that, we are required to add the DNS and make sure that it's actually resolved for the svc.intersight.com. Once we have that, also a proxy if needed. And once we have that, now the first step will be shown as green. So we have now the internet connectivity. For us to do this settings, let's just view the cloud connector or the device connector settings through the gear icon here. Now here we can control the device connector itself. So we can either enable or disable the device connector. We can allow the access mode or set the access mode either to read only or allow control. And this will actually matter a lot in the, especially in the benefits with the TAC integration, where if we set it into read only, we will be actually blocking log collection from the TAC perspective, so they will not be able to actually perform any log collection on your cluster. Also, we have the auto update, which means that once we are connected to the Intersight, the device connector will be automatically updated from the Intersight itself. Now, for the requirement configuration, you can actually go to the setup Nexus Cloud connectivity here. And from here, it will open a quick start page where you can configure the basics for the ACI. So we can see here we have the option for the DNS. So you can edit and configure, add your DNS server and search domains. Also for the NTP, you can edit and add it here. You can add the NTP server, the time zone. And lastly, which is an optional one, if needed, the proxy. In our situation, in this specific lab, we require a proxy. So you will see that we have already added a proxy configuration here. If you don't want to use the this specific quick setup page, there is another way to do it from the fabric and then fabric policies. And this is where you can view the different policies that are specifically for the fabric. So policies and global. And this is where you can see your DNS profiles. As you can see here, we haven't actually created a new profile. We are just using the old profiles to actually set up our DNS provider. And also, if you want to check for the NTP, you need to go under pods, date and time, and this is where you can see the policy default for the NTP. We have added the NTP server and made sure the administrative state is enabled for the NTP. So now that we have our prerequisite done, let's go back to the cloud and Intersight connectivity. So now we can move ahead and configure the second part of the connectivity, which is between the internet and the Intersight itself. For that, we will need to provide the device ID and claim code to the Intersight to be able to manage this product. So let's go back, provide the device ID, copy the claim code, and perform the claim. You will see that it's in a matter of a second, we have the claim done successfully. We can see now the name of our fabric, what's the type, when this was claimed, and the user who actually claimed this device. So now that we have our ACI claimed, let's move ahead and claim our second product. Let me just move the DC App Center. And for that, we will be doing it for the Nexus dashboard. Let me log in first to the Nexus dashboard to view these settings and different requirements before we start the claiming process. Now, as stated by my colleague Diego, our requirement is to have already one site to be added, as well as the different DNS NTP proxy settings if required. So here, if you go to under the admin, this is where we can see our Intersight connectivity, as well as the device connector configuration. So you will see here immediately, similar to what we discussed on the ACI, the initial connection towards the svc.intersight.com is, for us, is in green. For that, you can go to Analyze, Admin System Settings. And from here, you can make sure that you have the proper configuration for the requirements, such as the proxy configuration. So if you edit it here, you can see both for HTTP and HTTPS, where you can edit and change it as required. Also, you have your NTP, where you can add your NTP hosts or servers, as well as the DNS, where we can provide our DNS server IP as a provider, as well as the domain name, the search domain for the DNS. Now that we have this already pre-configured, we can just jump in to claim the device connector. Also, you will have the same settings for the device connector as discussed in the ACI. So if you open the gear icon, you will see exactly. So if you want to limit the Intersight connectivity to only read only or allow control, you can specify it from the access mode here. So we have already our device ID and the claim code ready. So let's go to our Intersight again and start the claim. So let's claim a new target. This time I'm not going to filter to the network. I will just write Nexus dashboard, and you can see here now it's filtered. So we have the Nexus dashboard ready. And let's provide the device ID and the claim code. And immediately we can see the claim is done. We have our information now showing for the Nexus dashboard and the user when this, as well as when this was claimed. Lastly, let me just open the connection, and I hope you can see it properly. So now I'm opening the connection towards the one of our standalone Nexus switches. If we check the version, we can see that we are running a version higher than the minimum required one, which is 10.2.3. The one that we are running is 10.3.4a. And the first step that we want to check is that, do we have that Intersight feature enabled? So by default, it will be enabled, and the device connector will be now embedded within the firmware and the software of the NXOS that you have installed. But if for some reason this was disabled before, you can check it through the show feature command, and you can see the status for the feature of the Intersight. Now, in case if it's enabled, you can just enable this feature through the command feature, and then specify which feature you want to enable. In our situation, it's Intersight. Now, if we run this command, we should see now that the feature is shown as enabled. Now, similar to what we did with both ACI and the Nexus dashboard, there are some requirements, which are the DNS in TP as well as in our situation proxy. So let's start by pushing these configuration. So the first thing that we want to do is our DNS configuration. Now, depending on the reachability of the Intersight, you can actually specify which VRF you want to use. In our situation, the Intersight is actually reachable from the Nexus through the management VRF. So we will be using the VRF uh, management to push our configuration. Then we need to provide what's the name server that we want to use. Let me get the IPs. So we have two DNS servers that we want to use. And then we have another extra option, which is the use VRF. This is used to specify which VRF is going to be used to provide the reachability towards the DNS. So if you have your DNS server reachable through a different VRF, but you want to use the same DNS for reachability for the devices that wants to reach stuff through your management, then you can use the use VRF and specify whatever VRF you have the DNS reachable from. In our scenario, it's already under the management VRF, so we will not use this part of the command. We will just leave it as it is. Now we configured our DNS. Let's configure our NTP. So for that, we specify NTP and the server. And let me get the IP address. And then we specify the use of the VRF that we want to use. So you can specify which specific VRF. For us, it will be the default one. And now we have both our NTP and DNS configured. So the next step for us is to configure the Intersight. By the way, the proxy configuration will be inside the Intersight device connector itself configuration. That's why we are now starting with the Intersight configuration. So let's start by viewing what options do we have. So you can specify the connection, which is the destination name for the Intersight. If you want to be specific for the connected virtual appliance, specifically for the Intersight, you can view the inventory. This is where you can perform or specify the proxy that you want to use. What's the source interface for the Intersight communication that will happen from your Nexus? If you want to add any trust point certificate, as well as lastly, the use VRF, so which VRF you want to use for your Intersight connection. So let's start by the use VRF. So let's specify the management. Then let's configure our proxy. And lastly, let's specify the source interface. In our case, we only have one interface, which is the management 0 inside the management. So now we have the Intersight device connector configuration done. So let's check the configuration now, or check the status of our device connector. Now you will see that it might not be ready quickly. It will take a couple of seconds for us to finish the cloud connectivity test, where it will check the or it will resolve the connection towards svc.intersight.com and make sure that it has reachability with the proper port. Once this is done, this error or message will be gone, and you will get the security token. So basically, in the Nexus standalone, the serial number is representing the device ID, and the security token is representing the claim code. Now, while we are waiting, let's go back to our Intersight, claim a new target, network, and we can see Cisco Nexus switches. And you will see now we need to provide the device ID and the claim code. Let's go back to the CLI, run the same command again. And now you can see the message has gone And now we have the security token shown for us. So which means that we are now ready to actually perform the claim directly. Let's pick the serial number, or it will be the device ID in our situation. Then security token, which represents the claim code again, and perform the claim. You can see immediately we have done this successfully. Now we can see our Nexus switch added from our user as well as the claim time. Now, similar to both on the ACI Nexus dashboard, if you refresh the page after the claim is done, you should see it as green and it will show you which account you used for the claim. Similar here, let's refresh. It will show exactly the same information. Similar to that, on the NXOS, it will show you, it will get you these details. So we'll see now once we get the device connector claim info, now we can see the account that is used, which user did it, and what the time or when this actually was claimed. Okay, so now we are done with the claiming process for all of our network devices that we mentioned today. So now let's discuss the benefits that was mentioned by my colleague Diego. I'm going to cover a couple of benefits here today. The first one is regarding the Nexus Dashboard Insights. So let me open the Nexus Dashboard Insight for us to discuss. So the main benefits from using the Nexus Dashboard Insight, as stated by my colleague, is the enhanced visibility as well as the operational efficiency. And this is actually done through different checks that the Nexus Dashboard Insight will perform on your fabrics, which we name them as advisories and anomalies. So you can see here from the insights, if I go to analyze anomalies, just for me to show you the different category, you can see that the Nexus Dashboard Insight will actually perform checks for all of the if you have any active bugs that are hitting your devices or fabrics. Are you hitting any capacity limitation, any compliance rules? If there's any misconfiguration, if there's any connectivity issue, hardware issue, and etc. This is under the anomalies. And under the advisories, this is where the checks against all of Cisco best practices, field notices, end of life announcement, whether if it's a hardware or software, as well as PCIRTs. So all of these checks will be done from the NDI against your fabrics. Now, how the NDI will get these details? It's actually going to have a metadata file where it compares signature from known stuff such as best practices to this to whatever you have already deployed. And if there is any signature that is seen, then it will push the anomaly or advisory towards your Nexus dashboard user interface. Now for that metadata, previously what we needed to do is that we needed to go to admin system settings, and whenever Cisco provides a new metadata, you guys needed to actually manually upload this metadata towards the Nexus Dashboard Insight here. And that was actually downloaded from the DC App Center, so that in case you guys want to see it, let me just open it for you to see where you can download it. So from the DC App Center, you go to, you open this like screen logo, and from there you open My Account. This is where you can actually request the config file to be downloaded specifically. Let's wait until it's downloaded. Now, while we are waiting, now once we have the Nexus dashboard connected towards the Intersight, this manual intervention is not needed anymore. The Intersight will be responsible of pushing the metadata once it is available and actually published by Cisco. This will be immediately pushed towards the Nexus dashboard, and the Nexus dashboard will perform all of the assurance checks as well as bug scrubs on your devices with the new metadata file that it has available. For some reason, this is not opening. Let me open it again here. Am I still audible, or you can see me, Diego? I'm not sure if my internet got disconnected.
No, everything is working fine.
Everything is fine. Okay. For some reason, the DC App Center is not opening. But once you open your account, you will find a specific tab there where it gives you the option to request config files. Once you push on that link, it will open a new web page where you can specify that you want the Insight config file, which is basically the metadata that we are using within Nexus Dashboard Insight to upload. Okay. So this was the first benefit or major benefit that you will get from the Intersight telemetry. The second one that I want to discuss with you is the tech support or the tag communication benefits as well as log collection. So for that, I have already performed like a small recording since we will be opening cases and just viewing log collection. So it's really faster to show it in a pre-recording than doing it live. So there's three major benefits within this tag communication as well as log collection. The first one is the automatic text support generation. So whether you manually create your tag case or the tag case were opened by the automatic SR creation if you hit a specific scenario, the logs will be attached automatically to the case, taking the serial number that you used to actually open that case. So we can see here when this case was created. If we scroll down until the end, this is the case view that you guys will see. You will see what is the serial number that's used to open the case and which contract is associated to it. Now the Intersight will use that serial number and check if you have a managed device using that serial number, then it will automatically collect the logs and upload it to the case. So there's no need for you to provide any more the initial logs and go through the manual upload process. This will be done automatically through the Intersight, as you can see here. Now, the second one is that through the tag assist. So if you have an issue with your in the ACI and you're opening a case, providing a serial number will only collect the logs from one of the devices that you have. Now, if you want to actually also provide logs from multiple devices as well, the option to do that is there through the tag assist option that we found earlier inside the Nexus inside the Cloud Connector application. So let's open the Nexus inside Cloud Connector. And from there, I showed you earlier, there was like a tag assist tab. And this is where we can actually perform or create new jobs to collect the logs and upload them towards Intersight. Let's begin. Then you specify which nodes that you want to collect the logs and upload. And if you scroll down, you will see your Apex by default. This is because we are using the Apex as the controller to collect the logs and perform the upload, so you cannot uncheck it from this process. And collect logs. Now you will see a new job has been created, and this job now currently is shown as running, as you can see. And we have two devices inside it that are being running against. If you open that job, you will see the list of the devices that we are collecting the logs from, when this was done, the job ID, as well as a red button here at the top to stop it if you want to stop the log collection. Now, once this is done, the status will change into complete. And now if you open and view the details, we can see now the log files that we have are now collected and available under the Fabric in the Fabric databases, or the Epic database, and we can see now we have the option to upload the image to the cloud, which means towards the Intersight. So now we will just trigger the upload for one of them, which is the leaf one, as this is the one that we want to check. So this is the method of uploading the logs for different or for multiple serial numbers at the same time. If you have a tag case open, so simply you can open the case, use one of the switches serial number, do this log collection for the other switches that you want, and then perform the upload towards the cloud. And inside the description of the case, you can mention to the tag engineer that the logs for these switches are already uploaded towards the Intersight. Now, once you have done that, the tag engineer can actually go towards our internal Intersight portal and collect these logs, attach them to the case. So you can see here, this is just to show you a view from a tag perspective. We can see here that the tag will use the same serial number that is used to open the case to actually open the different devices that you have claimed towards Intersight, as you can see. And for every specific platform, there's an option to generate the logs for. So under the tech support generation, if you go to ACI, provide the serial number of one of the devices, as well as the service request that you guys have opened. Now the tag engineer will be able to view the different components that you have claimed, specifically from an ACI perspective. Now you will see all of the devices are looking normal, except of one. We have an extra button, and this button actually appears because of the trigger of the tag assist log collection and upload to the cloud. This is like a notification to the tag engineer that there is logs currently being have been uploaded from this device, where you can attach it to the case directly. Now, once they press on that button, they will have the option to view what exactly the managed object for the different either tech support or the node itself. And then if they check the button again, this is where they can trigger the option to attach this logs towards the case. Now, once this is done, if we go and view our attachments under the service request that we have created, you can see now that it's showing that it's pulled, but instead of shown as automatically, it will be shown as manually with the user ID of the Cisco tag engineer who performed this manual collection from Intersight towards the case. Now, the third option is that for the tag to trigger the log collection. Now, in the case of tag, performing the initial analysis, and they found, okay, we need more logs from a specific device. There's no need for them to have the communication happening. They can just simply go to the tag Intersight portal again through the Customer Explorer, put the serial number that they have on the case, search for the environment, and see all of the devices that they have. From there, they can just simply decide which device we want to collect the logs from and generate the logs directly from it. As you can see here, we are going through the different products that we have. You will see here that we have Nexus dashboard, different UCS nodes, even Hyperflex clusters, standalone Nexuses. So even if the issue is not strictly with the ACI and the tech engineer requires to add a Nexus engineer to the case, they can collect the logs from the Nexus once it's associated or claimed under the Intersight. Now, under the tech support generation, they perform the lookup on the serial number and the service request, and then the tag engineer can trigger the generate through the generate button. Now, once the tag engineer perform or press on the generate button, they will have the option to choose what type of tech support they want, whether if it's a full or abbreviated. This is just a simple choice that the tech engineer have. Depending on the requirement, they will use whether to have a full logs or just an abbreviated one. Now they trigger the generation, the full generation from one of the uh, um, devices or leaves that we have. And you can see now it gives a successful tech support generation process being started for this specific serial number. And once this is done, it will be automatically associated to the case. Now, if we go back and check the attachment on the case, we will see that now we have another attachment. Before I forget mentioning, now you will get a notification on the ACI under the Tech Assist page where it will show you that there is a new job has been created to collect the logs, and you will see which device is collecting the logs for. So we can see here that we are collecting for the leaf 1111 and the current status is running. So we are running this job. This job is triggered by TAC. So you can see who was the responsible one. Was it someone from your team? If it was someone from your team, you will not get this notification. It will just show you as the job is currently running. And also you will have the option to stop it if you don't want this log collection to happen. You can just simply stop the job from happening. Once this job is done, if we go to the case attachment, we will see now that we have our logs from the last device, which is the 1111, is now being associated to the case. It will also show as pulled manually from Intersight through the specific user, which is the tag engineer who did this. Please note that even us as a Cisco employees, we will not have access to the internal Intersight portal, so no one will be able to actually view all of these details. We are actually showing these details as part of a lab environment, but this is Cisco confidential details. So whoever is the tech engineer is going to be the only one viewing these or will be able to see the different devices that you have claimed, and they will be the only ones to have the option to perform a tech support generation and only towards the tag case that you have opened. So they will not be able to generate logs to a different place. And you will get the notification from the log collection as well as the description showing when this happened and who was the user who did this log collection. Oops, no. And this was in a nutshell the demo that I wanted to show in today's session. Let me pass the session back to my colleague Diego to guide us through the different security um, concerns that you might have, as well as finalize the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Saif. Very in-depth, very good explanation of everything. Thank you very much. So now let us talk about data privacy, right? For many customers, there's a lot of concerns regarding what kind of data, where is it collected, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So we'll take a little bit of time in our session today to talk about this. Yes. First of all, for any device, for any data center device that you have connected to Intersight, only generic information from the usage of that product is going to be sent to Intersight. Yes. So nothing within the data plane, so never data that is crossing your environment, yes, nor data within the control plane of your devices, only data for about the usage of those devices. For example, and here we have a table that shows us some of the informations and so on and so forth. Yes. So your Cisco user, cisco.com user ID that is associated with your Intersight account, um, and that is in order to identify which customer, right, internally for Cisco. as well as information about operational metrics, like details about how many switches you have, um, the how many tenants you have, how many contracts you have. Only information that provides us with the ability to proactively reach those customers in order to help them better leverage those solutions. Yes. So information about license usage and so on and so forth. Cisco will never collect data at random for the data that is like a configuration of the devices and so on and so forth. That will never be collected. The only exception to that is one, if what Saif mentioned, right? If the customer opens a service request with Cisco and they have it allowed for the tech engineer when that service request is open to collect that information. Okay. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to use the Slido, and we are more than happy to answer those in there as well. So generic information about everything that we've talked today, right? That data is transmitted from your environment to Cisco via an encrypted channel, right? So we use encryption is made via HTTPS, the communication. The data that is sent, that is in there, is always only product usage. So there is no personally identifiable information besides for Cisco, right? The ID in which that account was created. That's the only more personal information in there, but that is not handled within the telemetry data itself as well. There's no network traffic, neither data plane or control plane that has been collected nor processed. Yes. You can learn a bit more about the data privacy in the Trust Center. We will provide you guys with the link if you want to. All of the Intersight platform is maintained and secured, followed what Cisco publishes as the Secure Development Lifecycle Guideline. Yes. And Intersight, even though is in the cloud, you can select where your data is being located, especially for customers within Europe, so that your data is always within Europe and thus GDPR compliant. So if you have concerns, you can go to the trustportal.cisco.com. There's a lot of information in there. You can also ask, and there is going to be a poll there in the Slido. Feel free to go there and answer. If you want a customized 101 session with us where we can go over your specific product and design and solution and so on, so that we can work with you to make sure you understand all of necessary or everything that is involved within the usage of this feature. So this was everything for our session today. Some of the key points is Intersight Telemetry helps customers improve their day two operations. Intersight account is free. And there is going to be always new developments and new proactive engagement use cases for all of the products that we've mentioned today. Yes. So we now have time for Q&A. If you have any questions, feel free to go on Slido and ask it right away. We did had a few, and you guys can see there in the history all over there. So after we finish our session today, you guys are going to receive a survey email from Cisco. It helps us a lot to change, adapt, and improve those sessions. Please feel free. It's just a couple of questions. It will take less than 2 minutes to answer all of those. And we are adjusting the session based on the feedback that you guys provide on that survey. Yes. So with that, I thank you all for the time that you spend with us here today. Thank you very much. We hope that this session was enlightening and help you guys understand a bit more about the Intersight connectivity slash telemetry for your data center network devices. With that, have a very nice rest of the day, and we hope to see you on our next session.
Thank you, everyone.